What if I told you the person you can't stop thinking about isn't actually making you feel loved? What if what you're calling love is actually your nervous system reacting to an inconsistency? Because here is the uncomfortable truth. If it only feels real when you are anxious, if it only feels real when you're waiting, guessing, or being ignored, then it might not be love. It might be conditioning. Have you thought about it? Today, we are going to break that cycle. Not by blaming you, but simply by finally helping you understand what your mind learned to call love was actually an emotional unpredictability. This is Life Wisdom with Dr. T, a space where healing meets growth and becoming begins. Let's begin breaking this down. Most people don't realize this. Our brain doesn't always choose love based on peace. Our brain often chooses love based on intensity. Because intensity feels like meaning. When someone is inconsistent, they may be warm one moment and distant the next. Your nervous system goes into survival mode. And survival mode feels like urgency. So what happens? You start confusing emotional activation with emotional connections. You tell yourself, they must mean something to me because I can't let this go. I keep thinking about them. But what's actually happening is this. Your brain is chasing a resolution, not a relationship. Your brain wants closure from an unpredictable moment, not love from the person. It is very important that you pay attention to this. This is where the pattern usually begins. Many people have learned early in their lives that love was not stable. It had conditions. We learned that love came with silence. We learned that love came with unpredictability, emotional distance, or even inconsistencies. So our nervous systems adapted to that behavior. It learned love must be earned. It learned love must be chased. We learned love must be proven. And later in life, this becomes dangerous. Because when someone is emotionally unavailable, your system recognizes it as not as unsafe, but as familiar. And familiarity feels like chemistry. So you don't just fall for them. You are falling into a pattern your body already knows. And that's why letting go feels so painful at times. Not because the connection is deep, but because the pattern is old. That pattern has stayed with you since the time you understood what love was. And here is the paradox. Rejection hurts, but it also pulls. Because rejection activates pursuit. It creates questions your mind wants to solve. You would ask questions like, why not me? What did I do wrong? How do I fix this? And slowly, you stop loving the person and you start trying to solve the experience. But emotional availability doesn't create those questions. And that is why it feels boring. Not because it lacks love, but because emotional availability lacks chaos. And if your nervous system is used to chaos, then pills feels unfamiliar because you've known love on chaos. And unfamiliar feels like wrong because all you have known about love was based on chaos, chasing, looking for it, working for it. Now think about this honestly. How much mental space are you giving someone who is not giving you consistency? I want you to reflect on this. Replaying conversations you have had in the past, interpreting their silence, rewriting old memories of your relationship, waiting for clarity that never arrives. That is emotional rent you are actually paying for a place you no longer live in. And here's the shift. Their inconsistency is not a puzzle. It is actually information, not about your worth, but about their capacity. And once you accept that, you stop negotiating with absence and you begin seeking emotional presence. You see, healing begins the moment you stop asking questions like, why didn't they choose me? But rather, you start asking questions like, why did I need them to choose me? Because that question brings you back to yourself. It's not about them, not the blame, awareness. And slowly, something changes when you ask that question. You realize you stop chasing emotional highs disguised as love. You stop interpreting anxiety as connection. You stop confusing longing with intimacy. And you begin building something new. That leads to internal validation. A space where your worth is no longer decided by someone else's attention, but by your own clarity. And from that space, you no longer chase people who disappear and come back when they want, because peace starts to feel like home. You're comfortable in your peace and it feels good. So if you take one thing from today's reflection, let it be this. Love is not supposed to feel like confusion. It is not supposed to feel like waiting for someone ghosting you. It is not supposed to feel like earning your place in someone else's life. If it costs you peace to keep love, it is not a connection. It's a conditioning. And you are allowed to outgrow it. Remember this. My dear friends, if today's reflection resonated with you, I invite you to leave a comment with one word that describes what you're releasing right now. And if you are in a season of unlearning old emotional patterns, this space is for you. Welcome. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and come back. This is a place where healing meets growth and becoming begins. Thanks for watching.